And the other thing as well, we've got all this civilization and nation and that, but we're still tribal and territorial, behaviour. A hunting tribe has to have, or it has to maintain enough territory to support its tribe, and it has to keep other tribes from making its mammoths and whatever. So you've got to have that, but we still think in those terms. Territory and resources.
Do you think we'll always have countries?
No, I think we may be evolve beyond that.
Eventually.
Yeah, nationalism, not next week. Nationalisms die very hard. But yes, I think eventually the nation state will be superseded by something else.
There'd be a huge catastrophe, there'd be a huge war going on between all these countries. And how can you get all these different countries to reconcile and just become one country, one world?
Well, the world government, the United Nations, I suppose you could say, was the idea was the first phase in a world government. But I mean, when you consider how long it took to get a united Britain, which we don't even have, if you start when the Romans left, and it took something like about 400 years to get a united England, even that was disputed because sort of Northumberland tried to break away in 954. Then how long it took to get a united British Isles, which we did have for a bit, and we don't now. So to get a united Europe, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. It certainly doesn't look like it. So to get a united world, where the nation state becomes secondary to the world system.
But that's a way of thinking that on the macro level, on the outside level, that it can influence the individual. But some people would say, wouldn't they, that can't happen. It takes the individual.
No, we can evolve to that. The thinking would have to change.
It have to change at an individual level.
Yeah.
Individuals will have to change their consciousness.
Become less tribal.
And less individuals.
That's right. And we eventually the sort of the tribal territorial behaviour would be superseded. The nation state would be superseded. Although the nation state now doesn't.
Well, we have the opportunity to blow ourselves up completely, every human being on the face of the earth.
Yes.
So in that conflict, to try and get the world to become one, there would be people who could just press a button and destroy the whole world.
Yes.
So it's
it's
not as easy as that's difficulty of it. Unless you got to get rid of the nuclear weapons first, don't you?
Well, that goes back to our tribal territorial behaviour. I mean, we keep a nuclear deterrent because it gives us a seat at the top table. In fact, that's the real reason we have a permanent seat on the Security Council, is because we've got the hydrogen bomb. Although there is a theory that the H-bomb was, the British H-bomb at Christmas Island was a fake. I'm not sure about that, but no, it's all to do, again, preserving our place in the world.
But surely, if we have a united world, it will stop people developing. Because
competition, you mean, has pushed us forward? Yes.
Well, there's all sorts of competition, including economic. I mean, even technology is still evolving. This is not only about
Excuse me, we can't hear what you're saying over here.
No, sorry. I was saying that technology is not only about weapons, so even if we stop developing new weapons, we will still progress in different ways.
It's what a society focuses on, I suppose.
but it will stunt people's
Because fighting in a way is very primitive, so therefore, if we were to move from that wouldn't be a bad thing, I think, for a psychological
the societies would have to have evolved into something that we can't really appreciate at the moment. I agree that the competition has created a lot of, in fact, mostly through competition.
But you said yourself that technology, when it solves one problem, it creates 10 other problems.
Well, not 10, but other problems
But
down
other
the line,
problems
yes.
down the line.
And it may be that we
So-
evolve to a level at which we can actually predict, because the mind, our intellect is evolving, and so civilization's pushed it forwards. Perhaps we will be able to look down the line and say in 200, 300 years' time the effect that something will have. I mean, we're already doing that by saying if we carry on burning fossil fuels as we are doing, in 100 years' time we'll have this effect, in 200 years' time we'll have this effect. And 100 years ago, that just wasn't in the frame. And like, let's say sticking lead in petrol, no, what about that in, or the way we used to pump sewage into the sea. Well, yeah, that's right, yes.
Although you would be surprised to see when people started talking about pollution, it's actually far older than we think. It was already in the 18th century they were talking about pollution in a different way.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I think we've come to a point where we're actually talking now about the ability of the planet to sustain life, that we can continue to live on the planet. And things like cutting down the rainforests are part of that. I don't think anybody at one time considered cutting down forests was going to change the climate. Although they say it's changed Australia, but Australia at one time, if you go back 25,000 years, was actually forested, and the trees were cut down, and that changed Australia.
And North Africa.
How important is like spirituality to this ideal goal of a unified world? Because spirituality, I thought it's something personal, individual thing.
Well, a unified world, we wouldn't have superseded the nation state and war. So in that sense, the tendency probably would be, as a race, we would be more spiritual.
But how can you make people spiritual on a large scale?
No, it has to come from within the self. People would have to change and evolve.
So
generally, it wouldn't.
This comes back to my other argument where you can't give spirituality.
You pass a law that everyone's going to be spiritual next week.
Yeah, exactly. You can't give spirituality to somebody. You either got it or you haven't got it. You can't make somebody.
Well, there may be a spiritual revolution on the horizon eventually. We had the Industrial Revolution. We had the Agrarian Revolution.
There's a lot of
and there could be. We might have a spiritual revolution in which case we all see the world differently, and there'll be some people who predate it and never adapt, and some people who push it forward.
And some person's idea of spirituality might be different to somebody else's idea. So
that's the religious wars. We've had those for.
Yes. So we do have spirituality because religion is spirituality, and that hasn't created any solutions.
I'll tell you what about civilization, right? If you go back to, you can disagree with me on this one. If we go back to before civilization, there was probably a pan-global shamanic religion, and wherever you were on the planet, you would have understood it. Now, civilization, the agrarian system, you have permanent settlements and cities and that. Religious belief became centralized because it became part of a centralized control system, and therefore you had organized religion, and that replaced shamanism. And although with shamanism you would have in, say, an African village a witch doctor, people would not necessarily.
But won't you need a certain amount of organized religion if you want to make spirituality into a mass thing where everybody is one, as we said?
Right. Well, organized religion
isn't a necessary evil. It's a necessary evil.
Because most religions have failed. They have completely failed.
And
they are going to disappear.
They all do.
Yeah.
They always do. Everything disappears.
That's right.
All organisations disappear.
That's true.
All organised countries, everything disappears.
They all pretend to have the truth, whereas in the real world they don't have it because they can't.
No.
There's not one truth.
There's not the exact. Well,
yeah, I think
maybe one truth, but it cannot be the. How can I say? It cannot be it cannot be the only. So today I'm not very clear what I'm saying, but basically one religion cannot hold truth. It's impossible. And we see that by the fact that the world is divided into so many religions. Some of them are only more prominent because they have used force and violence to impose.
Wouldn't it be like a rainbow though?
But they're not necessarily
You have different colours. You have different colours of people trying to get to truth in different ways. Some red or yellow, orange. You have different people. Each some of them are inclined to an organised religion. They find peace and they find harmony there. They find spirituality.
They talk a lot about peace, but I have never seen an organised religion actually creating peace in any way in the world. Like, on the contrary, every time there's a religion, there's a fight, there's violence, there's all the values defended by the religions are actually opposed by the facts.
So it's not the religion's fault
by the facts. It's like, for example, if you think about Jesus and his, and what Christians have done in the world, it's an absolute disaster. It's actually. If Jesus was back, he would say, "Well, what was that? It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with that."
Don't blame me for this. Yeah. Actually, I mean, I hesitate to mention football, but yesterday, Rangers beat Celtic beat Rangers. I think it was 5-1 or something. And there were, as normally after a Rangers Celtic match, there are normally fights on the street between Catholics and Protestants in Glasgow, and that's a regular thing. And sort of, I know that they're still fighting the 30 Years' War. But that's something we've had religious strife in Britain. It's just died down partly because people.
But is that the fault of the religion, or is it the fault of the people following the religion?
Well, it is. But
it's to do with ethnicity and identity, I think.